Hello, this is Ray Talks. Welcome back, and today we're going to talk about a linked topic with the others, but I'm going to start with context, okay? In 2025, thousands of farmers across Mexico launched wide protests. They blocked roads, highways, to booths, even sent tractors to the capital. They are demanding fair prices, support, and changes in national policy. And in this video, I will explain what farmers demand and why they link their demands to the USMCA trade deal, and what the broader risks are for the Mexican agricultural sector. And actually, I would like to talk about what are farmers demanding and why are they protesting. Okay, we're going to start with more context, and the context is a deep crisis in agriculture. The cost to produce crops in Mexico has increased over the last 5 years. For many farmers, production costs have gone up nearly 50%. Meanwhile, the prices paid to farmers for basic grains, especially corn, maize, have dropped, and for many selling those prices means loses or no profit. Actually, main demands of protesters warranted for price for corn, and many groups demand at least 7,200 pesos per ton. More support for the rural agricultural sector, subsidies for inputs, better policies for credit, and economic protections. Actually, exclude basic grains like corn, beans, actually sorghum, and wheat, etc. from USMCA, or renegotiate its aspects, because many farmers believe the trade deal has flooded Mexico with cheap imports, undercutting domestic production. Okay, we have recent actions. In late October 2025, farmers from more than 20 states started a national strike. Road blocks and toll-booth closures, protests in front of government offices. Some states temporarily agree with federal government offers, but protests continue because many farmers say the response is insufficient. Okay, we have another aspect. How does this connect to USMCA? What is USMCA? We actually saw this, but I'm going to give you if you don't know, I'm going to summarize this. The USMCA is the trade agreement between Mexico, Canada, and USA, right? And it regulates trade rule across the three countries, including agriculture, of course. Okay, why farmers see USMCA as part of the problem? Many protesters and organizations argue that under USMCA, Mexico has become dependent on cheap grains imports, especially with corn. Mainly from the United States, this floods the domestic market with expensive grain, causing Mexican corn prices to fall. Because local producers cannot compete with the lower prices of imported grain, their income drops, which they say threatens their livelihoods and the future of small-scale farming in Mexico. Okay, what farmers are demanding regarding USMCA? They basically want basic grains excluded from USMCA, so that imports that undercut domestic producers are restricted, giving fair space to Mexico's farmers. They call for a new agricultural policy, sovereign credits, and actually subsidies protection for small and medium producers, and actually fair trade policies prioritizing national food security over foreign imports. However, protests are not only about price or government policy. They question the structural effects of trade liberalization under USMCA, which many feel has harmed traditional agriculture in Mexico. Okay, the number 3 aspect is what recent developments make this especially urgent 2025 context. You know, in this year, domestic demand and import surged. Mexico imported large volumes of grains and oilseeds. A record number, actually. And agriculture exports have fallen compared to previous years, while dependency on imported grains increased. Many farmers report that under current policy and trade conditions, farming basic grains is economically unviable and causing a rentability collapse in rural areas, actually. And this explains why protests have expanded geographically, and why demands include, structural changes, not only short-term prices adjustments, and I think we have another aspect, possible scenarios and what's at stake. Okay, if government agrees and policies change, domestic producers might receive fairer prices, more support, and maybe revitalization of rural agriculture could lead to greater food security and reduce dependency on imports. Okay, if nothing changes, many small farmers could abandon corn production, reducing national corn production capacity. Okay, so risk of loss of rural livelihoods, more imports and food, and sovereignty concern, So what would be the consequences? So trade-related consequences, it is about if Mexico pursues excluding grains from USMCA or other protective measures, there could be trade conflicts with partners countries, like USA and Canada, affecting all the economy. So also as of 2025, the US side is rethinking parts of USMCA or even withdrawal, which might open space for renegotiation actually. And I think it's everything for today, and my conclusion is what the viewer should remember, like the protests are not just farmers asking for more money, it is a reflection of a structural crisis in agriculture tied to trade policy, globalization, and lack of protection for small producers. And I think the link to USMCA shows that trade agreements, while beneficial for some export sectors, may harm small farmers. And if there's not policy to protect domestic production, I don't know, I think it would be terrible. So the future of Mexico's rural agricultural depends on whether the government balances international trade agreements with internal policies that ensure fair prices, and support farmers and values food, like sovereignty.